What is good, all the listeners and viewers? Welcome back to another episode of Games and Groceries. My name is Adam.
And I'm Liz.
And I have a weird relationship with my mustache. Woo! We're here with episode 145. We're going to be talking about, is there a shift happening in the console wars, with our special guest, at CommanderNici. Yo! But first, we've got some segments for you. Yes, we do.
Yep.
It's a little bit of the morning right now.
Sort of.
Yeah. Time zone differences, but we're here. We got CommanderNici on finally on the show because I got time to deal with the time zones.
Yeah.
Hooray! Let's get rid of time zones. Let's tell sun to stop. Cancel
to just
sun.
Shine everywhere all
to
at the same
just shine
time.
everywhere, so we don't have to deal with time zones.
I don't think that's how it works.
And then we'll just tell it like it's time for bed. Night, sun. That's what we'll do from now on.
I don't think that's how it works.
I'm pretty sure that's how it works. No, Liz, how you doing?
I'm good.
Yep.
Not much to tell.
There is something to tell. We got our first dose of the vaccine.
Oh, yeah.
Hooray. We're going in for a second dose in May 6th. So we got our first dosage. So we're on track to getting rid of this mutation, because of course it's not quite over, but it's a step in the right direction. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing else. Just kind of chilling right now. So in that case, then why don't we just get the show started then?
Okay.
We got a lot to talk about. We got some gaming news for you. We got a movie review for you. And, of course, CommanderNici. But first, let's remind everybody that we're on social media. We're on Twitter at Gaming Groceries, or you can follow us individually. I'm at Ace the Grocer.
And I'm at Journey First.
Or you can follow us on Instagram, Games and Groceries, all one word, where I've been really lacking behind on the Instagram. I'm sorry. I was on a creation vacation, and I just took it that far. But you can follow us on Instagram, and I will ask you a question about this very show. Wow. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and I will share a question that's regarding today's topic about the show, and I want your feedback on that. But you can also join us on Discord. Discord, everybody. Yeah. Join our Discord. The link is in the description down below. I will also ask the question on there, but you can hang out with me, Liz, CommanderNici, Mike Fury, Andrew Orsi, Game Simp, all of them. They're all there. It's a great place to be. So definitely check that one out. Volt Supreme's on there. A lot of people are on there. So definitely check that one out. And if you are watching us on YouTube, hi, how you doing? You doing good? Great. Awesome. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and a notification bell so that you know when all these episodes drop. And if you're on the audio version, if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you can find some rating systems, give us a good little star review and a little review, a little written review. You can go and this is a nice little review of your podcast. So go ahead and do that if you are able to. So with all that said, let's just get the show started. Let's go into it with our first segment.
Movie Minutes.
Movie Minutes is a segment that we talk about the movies that we saw in the past week, whether it be on Netflix, Hulu, or even HBO Max. And we like to give you a recommendation or not a recommendation. Here on the Games and Groceries podcast, we have a 5-point scale of how to rate movies. We start at avoid at all costs, pass, enjoyable, solid, and perfect for us. So this week's movie is actually a Netflix original. It came out during our creation vacation, so now we're just kind of catching up here, and we want to just watch it, see what it's like. You might have heard of it. It stars Octavia Spencer and Melissa McCarthy. It's Thunder Force on Netflix. Hooray! So let's go into our 5-point scale of what we gave this movie, and we'll explain why. So Lizzie, go first.
So I gave it an enjoyable, mostly because it was a decent movie. It was cute. It was funny. But it just didn't have much depth. They spent most of their budget on the two main actresses.
I agree.
And
Jason Bateman.
Oh yes.
And Mantis.
Yes, I did forget. So yeah, they spent most of their budget on the
cast.
On the cast.
Yeah.
And then forgot that they needed to make a movie after that.
Yeah.
So the effects aren't amazing, but it's a funny movie. It's cute. And it's the least raunchy Melissa McCarthy movie I think I've ever seen.
Yeah. I go in between, enjoyable and also pass.
Yeah.
I'm like stuck in between the two, where it's just like I would say altogether, you don't need to see this. It's a pass, but that's why, again, too, going into it, where if you do watch it, it's enjoyable, and I'll explain why in just a bit. But I'm in between the pass, but if you do watch it, it's fine. It's enjoyable.
It's if you were interested in it, go ahead and watch it. But we're not going to say go out of your way to watch it.
Yeah, so we're going to get into my notes a little bit here. That the introduction, the opening segment of this definitely could have been cut out. Now, this movie is already short enough. It's only an hour and 43 minutes, I believe.
Yeah.
But with credits, it's like an hour 40.
Yeah.
And the opening segment's maybe 5 minutes. So it's already short enough, but I'm already saying that the introduction probably could have been cut out or even shortened just a bit.
I liked it.
Well, that's the thing. It's treated like a prologue, and it was a prologue we didn't necessarily need. And that's why I don't like introductory prologues. I don't like exposition. I don't like when the audience is treated like idiots. Where if we cut out that and it just started on Melissa McCarthy in the construction site, I think we could have picked up a few things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. The beginning was still cute, though.
And that's the thing. It's not meaningful for the story. It's just it's a nice little prologue, but I'm just it could have been cut. I don't know. And that's the thing. You enjoyed it, though.
Yeah. I didn't mind it.
Yeah. It's fine. And that's the thing. The whole movie, I'm just thinking, it's fine. It's fine,
Yeah.
And then again, as I'm talking, keep in mind, as I'm getting older, I'm 30 now, and I'm sure by the time I'm 40, I'll be thinking, oh, I'm getting older now. But I don't know, I'm getting less and less critical of things the older I get. But that's why I'm just yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Now, I will say also on the point of it's fine, the comedy can be a bit basic, and it's definitely going to themes that are pretty obvious.
It's easy comedy.
It's very easy comedy. It's political standpoints. The comedy definitely goes into politics, very much so, and the corruption of politicians and all that. And again, it's basic. It's fine. It's fine. The comedy. That's the thing. The comedy may be basic, but I did write here that most of the time the jokes landed.
Yeah.
Not like I was bawling, but I laughed.
Yeah.
I laughed.
Yeah. It was easy comedy. It doesn't mean it was bad. It was just it's something that you see in everything. It was easy for them to put that in.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that the jokes did land, and there's nothing that made me feel like, oh, this is just so terrible. I remember Wombat on CADcast was talking about this movie, and he just said, what's the point of this movie? I'm like, yeah, that's a lot of movies, though.
Yeah.
It's a lot of movies, what's the point? And in this case, the comedy was it was fine. That's all it was. It was just fine.
Yeah.
Especially Jason Bateman's character.
Yeah.
That was, what's the point?
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Now, that goes actually into my final note here. The note of, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So you can just see the trailer and understand what this is. You understand what you're getting into. This is definitely a movie where it is what it is. Yeah. It is a Netflix movie with Melissa McCarthy that's going off of the Marvel DC hype. And there you go.
Yeah.
It's Melissa McCarthy, Netflix movie, Marvel DC hype. It is what it is. And and I don't think that it's that bad where people are just this is terrible. If you think that it's a terrible movie, Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 25%. If you think about it that way, where it's just too serious, that's the thing.
You have to remember that it's a Melissa McCarthy movie. Her movies aren't serious. Her roles aren't serious.
Yeah.
Her movies always err on the cornier side.
Yeah. And that's what this is. It's a corny movie.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying you watch the trailer, you know exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't watch this movie at first, because, I saw the trailer, I know what I'm going to get. I watched the movie and I got exactly what I thought it would be. Whether you think that's bad or wrong, that's why I'm in between pass and enjoyable. If you watch the trailer, you know exactly what you're going to get. And I think that's what the beauty of this movie is that it is what it is.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I'm in between pass and enjoyable. But you're solid enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah. You wouldn't even say pass, but just kind of like, if you watch it, it's fine.
I didn't feel like it was a waste of time. I enjoyed my time. Probably won't watch it again, though.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not one of those movies I would watch again.
No.
But I didn't think it was a huge waste of time, though.
No, I didn't. I wasn't like on my phone the whole time. I wasn't bored or anything like that. It was, I enjoyed my time and I'm good.
I think this is definitely relatable to Godzilla vs. Kong, where it is what it is.
Yeah.
Godzilla vs. Kong, it is what it is. Like, if you expect anything more of it, you're watching the wrong movie. Same exact thing for this movie.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's a Melissa McCarthy superhero Netflix movie. It is what it is. But that's our review of Thunder Force. You can go check it out on Netflix. It's available there, probably now and forevermore. That's all we got to say about it. What do you think? You want to go into the next segment?
Okay.
Let's go ahead and do that. Let's go into it with our second segment.
Top 3 Gaming News.
The top 3 gaming news. It's the gaming news that we saw in the past week. We would like to rank it 3, 2, 1, just to give you a condensed version of, hey, what's going on in the gaming industry? What's going on here?
I don't know.
Well, let's find out.
Tell me.
I certainly will, because we're gonna go into it. This week has been it's been cut and dry.
Steady.
It's been steady. Last week, Creation Vacation, there was a lot of news that dropped. I'm like, this is the week.
Yeah.
So this week was a little bit more dry, but there's definitely some interesting things that happened, discussions that were had, and I just want to jump into it because the very first gaming news, or number 3 gaming news, you knew this was going to happen. Nintendo Indie Showcase dropped, okay? One of the games that I purchased was The Longing. I'm now playing The Longing. I'm longing for 400 days to go by, and I'm treating Shade like my little baby boy. So I like it. I like The Longing. But that's not what we're going to talk about, because there's a big piece of news piece. It happened after the Indie Showcase. It was just saying like, oh, well, thanks for watching. Bye. I'm like, oh, just one more thing. And that one more thing was Oxenfree II. Oxenfree II was announced. Oh my god, it's so good. It's so good. And our friend Corey Schmitz actually did the design for Lost Signals.
Yeah.
So Oxenfree II is going to be called Lost Signals. Our best buddy Corey Schmitz, friend of the show, did this, and it looks spectacular.
Yeah.
Corey, if you're listening, great job as always. I don't think you ever do a design that's bad, and this is one of them.
Yeah.
Not a bad thing at all. So this is just a new adventure. It's got a new cast of characters. And what's really cool about this is that Oxenfree was released 5 years ago. This game is set 5 years after the events of Oxenfree.
Yeah.
So it's going to be happening kind of real time here. It's going to be, you're going to be playing as Riley this time, not Alex, but you're going to be playing as Riley, an environmental researcher who goes home to Kamina to investigate radio signals. So there's kind of like this investigative search. So before with Oxenfree, it was just some teenagers going to an island, going to a party, and they stumble upon this. Whereas this is kind of a intentional, her job, intentional to find out these things.
She is researching this anomaly.
Yes, and Scientific is doing the sound, so I'm very happy about that. But I want to go into this quote here from Sean Krankel, who has to say, "Words cannot begin to express how happy I am to finally talk about Oxenfree II Lost Signals." Night School Studio co-founder and director Sean Krankel said, "Oxenfree is such a special game to us, and it has been an incredible experience to revisit the world. We're eager to welcome our players back to inviting newcomers to embark on an adventure with an entirely new cast of characters that retains the weird, heartfelt, and personalized experience of the original." So this is going to be coming out this year. There's no dates, but it did say that it will come on Steam and Switch. It didn't say any other platforms, but that's fine. I'll play it on Switch. I don't really care. I just want it. I tried looking for the physical edition of Oxenfree, but that is now $150 because people want to resell it because it's so rare. Cool, great. Liz, what are your thoughts?
I'm excited for this. I never actually played Oxenfree.
No,
I
you did
watched
not.
you play it 1,000 times.
1,000 times.
1,000 times is probably roughly correct.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm excited to see how it mixes in. I'm curious how they're going to tie in the first one, which I'm sure is going to be really awesome. I'm curious if it's going to be like pulling from, well, I guess it couldn't. I was going to say pull from your original playthrough.
Maybe.
But I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, it's going to be a new
Because
cast of
it's-
characters. So
Yeah.
the decisions.
Well, I'm saying like like with the radio signals and stuff, is it going to pull from what you did in that first one?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting. We don't
Yeah.
have a lot of news on this, just the announcement of it. Mitch's great design over there. So that's all we got. But it did make a new Evolve video. The original Evolve video was going to be about the problem behind multiple endings. And then this came out. I was like, yeah, no, we're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
So I talk about why you should play Oxenfree, why I personally love Oxenfree. So
Is Oxenfree on the Switch, the first one?
yes.
Okay, maybe I'll play it.
Oh yeah. That's why I was looking for the physical edition because I didn't
Yeah.
want to buy the digital. But
We'll buy the digital and then I'll play it.
oh yeah, for sure. But yeah,
And then I
it's,
can play this one.
yeah, it's on Switch. It's on Switch for $10, and it's always on sale. If you haven't played, it's $10. Come
There's no excuse not to play Oxenfree now.
on. Goodness. Anyways, let's jump into the second piece of gaming news, which is a little discussion to be had here. It's about F-Zero, if you all remember that. F-Zero is a sci-fi racing game, a very fast-paced, like, racing game that a lot of people have been waiting for another entry into because the last time we got an entry was technically 2003. There was an entry in 2004. I think it was only a Japanese release. What was it? Climax? I think it was F-Zero Climax, and I think it only released in Japan. I might be wrong, but let's say the last release was in 2003. It's now 2021. We've been waiting for a re-entry into this. And a comment from the retired Nintendo designer Takaya Imamura, who retired back in January. We reported on that. He was actually talking to IGN about his 30-year stint at Nintendo and just kind of reflecting on a few things there. And the topic of F-Zero came up. So I want to read this quote. Now, I didn't take it from the IGN interview because all the articles are linked down below. The article puts out this point that I want to read this quote right here. Speaking to IGN, retired designer Takaya Imamura said that he doesn't believe F-Zero is dead at Nintendo, even with such an extended absence. However, he said that without a quote-unquote grand idea, it's a difficult series to revive. The other games were fairly straightforward sci-fi racers, not featuring many major overhauls aside from better visuals when coming from different platforms. These days, that might not be enough. And that's the discussion, that last sentence, these days that might not be enough. So again, if you're not familiar with F-Zero, that's all it is. It's just a very fast-paced sci-fi racing game. And by fast-paced, it's like a rocket ship almost. You're going, it's very fun. It's very arcadey. You know, and the topic comes up these days that might not be enough. And I kind of want to have a conversation with somebody on the podcast about, are we taking video games too seriously? So Takaya Imamura, if you're there, no, there's no way. There's no way he's coming on this show, man. But yeah, what do you think? Are these days like arcadey games, they're not enough for today's market?
I think it's a lot harder to make them popular. Like, it's one thing if it's on like Game Pass or something
Sure.
like that, or it's like $3 and someone's like, oh, this looks fun, let's see what this is. But to make it something popular that everyone wants to play, I think it is more difficult because people want depth, not just a racing game.
Not even more depth, but more skill based.
Yeah.
When you talk arcadey, you're talking about just like button mashing.
Yeah.
And even with games like Tekken, or how did Vin Diesel say it? Tekken. Yeah, he said Tekken. But even with Tekken, there's a lot of, it's very arcadey, but at the same time, it's very skill based. Or even NBA 2K, it can be arcadey, but a lot of people take it really seriously, and there's skill bases to it.
Yeah.
Whereas F-Zero, it's a very arcadey and there is skill behind it, but he's talking about this grand idea. Like, it won't work unless there's a grand idea. And I don't know what he means by that. Because even talking about Super Smash Brothers, what was the grand idea? Bringing in way more characters than the game can handle?
Yeah.
More swords than the game can handle? What's the grand idea with that? So I kind of want to get into his head. Like, what is your definition of a grand idea?
So I feel like the definition of a grand idea that he might be thinking of is like something that's like going to catch the eye. It's like something big enough that it's going to catch attention. Because if you just say, oh, we're putting out this fast-paced racing game.
Yeah.
That's not going to catch anyone's attention. Like, I think that's what he means by like grand idea, where it's like something where it's like, we need a big idea for people to pay attention to this game.
Yeah, and there's definitely fans out there for the F-Zero series, but maybe not enough to be, because that's the thing. Like, have you ever heard of F-Zero?
Nope.
That's the thing. It's not such a big market. I mean, even Pikmin has a larger audience, but F-Zero has been waiting a long time to get another. But like you said, the series isn't dead. There just needs to be a grand idea. So if you got any pull at Nintendo and you got yourself a grand idea, well, guess what? Might as well just do that. Shoot your shot there. So, but that's the number 2 gaming news. Now I want to talk about the number 1 gaming news, which is everybody's been doubting Epic Games. Everybody's been saying like, oh, Epic, it's going to fall down the drain, blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what? Epic Games has gotten $200 million from Sony. $200 million more. Sony already put in a good amount of money into this, and now they give you even more. So from this pool, this is a huge funding pool. From that $200 million, Epic Games gained $1 billion, putting it at a value of, I wrote it down here, $28.7 billion. Wow. That is massive. So again, this is coming off of the cusp of last week during our creation vacation. And that's what I mean. There was a lot of news, but last week we learned that Epic Games was losing $330 million from giving out free games and the exclusive deals that I was putting in.
Yeah.
This was revealed during the Epic and Apple case, and Apple was trying to reveal their finances, and Apple's just saying, like, look, they're losing money. But Tim Sweeney was saying that, no, this is a long-term investment. We're not looking for right now investments. We're looking for long-term.
Yeah. So basically, they purposefully were losing that much money.
Yeah. He has a plan in mind, and he knew this is going to lose money, but he's going for the long run. And now Sony and other companies have invested a total of $1 billion the next week, but Sony specifically putting in $200 million.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to read this quote right here, because then Tim Sweeney quoted here saying, like, what are you going to do with all that money, Mr. Tim Sweeney? Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney is still the company's controlling shareholder after the investment. In a press release, Sweeney said that Epic will use the investment to help accelerate our work around building connected social experiences in Fortnite, Rocket League, and Fall Guys, while empowering game developers and creators with Unreal Engine, Epic Online Services, and the Epic Game Store. So he's taking that money and he's not putting it in his own pocket. I mean, let's be honest, just a little bit he is.
Well, he has to pay people and himself.
Yeah, he has to pay himself, but this is empowering developers. He's looking for the long haul here. Before I say my thought, what do you think? Any thoughts?
Not really. I mean, if you got a plan, you got a plan. I mean, it's hard to see these things from the outside. Yeah. Because, to us, it's like, dude, you're losing money.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, typically, when you look at a company and they're losing money, it's not good. But if he has a plan, just let him do his thing. If he ends up losing money, that's on him. But like, you don't know, because it's what his idea. Like, we can't perceive what he means if he can't explain it.
And you don't get this kind of funding if you don't have a plan.
Exactly.
You can't just go to Sony.
Clearly gone to Sony, did a presentation. This is what I want to do. And they're like,
this is how much money I'll lose.
Yeah. Like clearly he's explained it to these investors. They're not just going to be like, this company that's losing $300 million.
Yeah.
Let's put more money into that. Like, they're not stupid. These people aren't stupid. You don't get this big of a name by being stupid.
And let's be honest here, that Tim Sweeney this is my thought. Tim Sweeney has been in the industry for years. I want to say decades at this point. Yeah, probably like decades. And not only that, but he's behind Epic Games. I mean, if you think of Gears of War, of course you're thinking Cliff Bleszinski, but also Tim Sweeney was behind Gears of War and making that happen. But also keep in mind that Tim Sweeney is behind the Unreal Engine. Any game that you own and it says Unreal Engine, guess where that's going to? Oh, you guessed it, Epic Games, Tim Sweeney. And now Unreal Engine 5 is just impressing a ton of people.
Yeah.
Unreal Engine is probably the standard for game engines. Yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
That and Unity and but Unreal is huge.
Unreal is up there.
Exactly.
With the main ones.
You could say it's Unreal.
Oh goodness gracious.
But that's the thing is that Tim Sweeney knows what he's doing. He's been in this for decades. He knows he might lose money. He knows he's up against Steam. He knows these things.
Yeah.
And that's the other point is that he's gone to these companies. He's presented his plan. The people understand him and trust him enough to give him $1 billion.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen if you don't have a plan. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Present your case to a bank. Try to get a loan without a plan.
Yeah.
Guess what's going to happen? You're not getting that bank loan. And that's the thing is that a lot of people doubt this. And I'm not really a PC gamer, so I have no stakes in this. I'm just watching this as a person who loves video games. And this is great. This is cool. So good on you, Tim Sweeney, for actually have a financial plan going at it. Dave Ramsey will be very proud of you, even though I don't agree with Dave Ramsey most of the time. But it's what it is. So, why don't we go into our final segments?
Okay.
We got to bring on Nikki.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. We're going to bring on @CommanderNici. Of course, you've heard her name before all the time. She's a huge fan of the show, probably the #1 fan of the show. She's always giving her side of the story into any one of our gaming pieces. So I want to bring her on. Want to talk to her about, is there a shift going on in the console wars? So why don't we just do that? Let's bring her on, CommanderNici.
Woohoo!
All right, everybody, we are back with a special guest, the #1 fan of games and groceries, the #1 wood burner in the world. It's CommanderNici.
Woohoo! It's me!
CommanderNici,
Hi!
You're on the show. How you feeling?
Yes, I'm so happy to be here. I couldn't believe my eyes when you texted me if I want to be on the show and just a few weeks, days, I don't know, earlier when Tufa asked me if I have ever been on the show, I was like, nah, but a girl can only dream. And now
you're here.
Now I'm here.
And you did, and I did want to point out, and I will, if I remember, I will link it in the description down below. CommanderNici also was on Side Quests. Oh no, I'm so bad. What's the show called? Fun and Games. Yes. Fun and Games. She actually talked about Maneater. And so she gave I believe it was an 8-minute episode, and she explained why you need to be playing Maneater, which is a shark PG. She did a really great job on that. So I will link it in the description down below so you can go check that out as well. So CommanderNici. Yeah.
You should totally talk to Matt about doing an episode on Oxenfree. You would be the right person for that.
Oh. That's the thing. I never want to ask people if I can be on their show. I'm a nervous turtle in that way. I'm just like, if they reach out to me, cool. But I'm not one to invite myself to anything. Yeah. I'm just like, okay.
But that's the concept of side quests.
That is true. I will
just is to make yourself feel awkward.
So what I'm hearing is that I should barge into Matt's actual physical home and say, "Can I please come on side?" No, I should not do that.
Oh my god!
I'll just break into his home, Philly style, and be like, "Matt, come on."
No.
So Nikki's here. We're gonna be talking about console wars, because there is a certain shift happening within the console wars. There's a lot of things happening, especially with Phil Spencer's focus, and unfortunately, and we'll talk about that too, Jim Ryan's focus. We're all in this circle together. I'm an Xbox fanboy. CommanderNici is primarily PlayStation, Switch. You're primarily also PlayStation, Switch.
Yeah.
I'm the only Xbox boy in the program.
Yeah.
We're not really PC players, right?
No.
No.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, technically, I played PC games when I was younger, but they weren't like gamer games. They were like Sims and Barbie games.
Right.
Still games, though.
Still games.
This is true.
But that's the thing with like setting the tone here. None of us are really big PC gamers. I play some, but not a lot.
And I mean, PC doesn't play a major role in the console wars.
No, it's its own thing.
Yeah. So I mean, they're totally separate. They keep to themselves.
And that's the thing. I do want to point out, one thing to describe the context. Now that we know what consoles we play on, what do we think the major community, like the gaming community, what do they think of each console currently as it stands today? What is gamers' opinions about each console? Talking about what are their opinions about Xbox, Microsoft, Sony, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch? Nikki, let's start with you. What do you think the gamer community thinks about these consoles so far?
Yeah, so I don't know. Nintendo is like always its kind of own thing with the whole family console thing that they have been going on since the very beginning. And especially with Nintendo, they have like all those family and couch co-op titles. When you think about Mario Party and Mario Kart, I think even one of those Mario and Rabbit games are also
Mario
kind of in the direction of multiplayer on the couch, and that's like this kind of image. And also with the games, there's, as far as I know, no actual mature Nintendo title like
Nintendo IP, like there's no mature content.
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Like all the hacking and slashing in Zelda and Xenoblade is maybe like the most mature it gets.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
And like it's really, really family friendly. There's nothing going over 12 PG or whatever the ratings are. And then you have like the big boy games like PlayStation and Xbox, with like just recently with The Last of Us 2, which has upped the brutality scale above the roof.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, Last of Us 2 is just it's bloody, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and they're like those really big fish, sharks if you want.
Yeah.
And there's like all this stuff, and we're gonna get to that later with Xbox buying all those studios, Bethesda and all, and there's some change coming, and I don't know where it will go. I'm kind of scared about some things, but yeah, so I'm not big in the gaming community, all on social media. I'm just in my small little bubble, and I don't see much negativity everywhere unless I go like into the comments of the newest PlayStation Plus exclusive titles, free games, and all you can see is people complaining, that's a shit game. Like,
yeah, same with
in
Xbox.
Germany, we have a saying that goes about not looking a gifted horse into the mouth. I don't know if you have it too, and it's based on the thing that you can tell a horse's age by their teeth, and so you're getting a horse for free.
Yeah.
Don't complain about whatever is annoying you. I mean, sure, I get a little upset when just this month the amazing game Days Gone is for free on PlayStation Plus, and a few months back I just bought it myself, so that's a little sad.
Yeah.
But hey, more people get to enjoy it, and especially with Days Gone now getting a PC release soon. Hey, that's great. More people getting to play the games, and if they already have like PlayStation Plus, why not try those games? They are free, and that's cool. And especially what you explained about Game Pass to me with the full downloads, it's cool.
Yeah, straight up. And that's the thing. I think Xbox is innovating itself. And that's the thing. A lot of people might only spend in terms of the gaming community with their own communities. Like you said, you looked in the comments of PlayStation Plus. I'm also looking in the comments of Xbox people where free games on Xbox, and people just keep complaining. And it's just like, man, who cares, dude? Who cares? Like you roll the dice, you get what you get, man. But yeah, in terms of making sure like what the gaming community thinks about each console, I would definitely think that me personally, I think that a lot of people still hate on Microsoft as if they're the worst company to come into the games industry. And really, they're the ones that are trying to preserve the games industry. PlayStation, of course, there's no there's no doing wrong with PlayStation, right? Like they just canceled Days. Well, they didn't cancel, but they rejected Days Gone 2. They're remaking Last of Us, the original, but people are still buying PlayStation. In fact, PlayStation 5 has outsold any other console this month. PlayStation people really don't care, and that's not a good thing. That's not a bad thing. It's just like that's their loyalty. And I would say Nintendo, of course, is one of those things of just nostalgia. People are just thinking that it is the family system to have. Yeah. Liz, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. Nintendo, and I've said this before, is more of the family system, more of the kids' first system that you have. It was one of the earlier systems, like earlier gaming systems that was marketed as a toy towards kids. Yeah. And so I think it kind of always sticks with that. It's more kid-friendly, more family-friendly. As far as Xbox and PlayStation, I don't know if this is like accurate, but I feel like PlayStation with the finesse and like smooth, it's seen as more as like a fancy system to have. Like it's more of an upscale thing to have. Whereas Xbox, I think, does have that like toxic gamer linked to it, where it's like when you think of a toxic gamer, you think of
me.
No, you think think green and black. You think Xbox logo. You think of a gamer going crazy on like Halo or one of those only Xbox games. You think of a toxic gamer when you think of Xbox.
Oh, trust me, I have personal experience. It's very much in the Xbox community.
And that's the thing. And I think that Xbox is definitely trying to turn that around. They don't want that as their image. They know that's their image. And they're trying to fix that. They're trying to shift and show that, like, hey, we really care about the gaming industry, not just our gamers. You know, just because these type of people play our games, we want everyone to be able to play. And I think they're just trying to shift that and show. And I think it's hard because it's still that type of gamer is going to be playing on Xbox.
I think so.
And you're linked to those.
I am. And that's the thing.
You are not one of them. You are linked to them.
I think
not all Xbox gamers.
Not all Xbox gamers. Hashtag not always Xbox. But I definitely think it's because like whoever was raised in that, I think it started in the Xbox community. And then people just like for me, I grew up on the original Xbox. So I got the 360 and then I got the Xbox. So all the people that stuck with the first Xbox, it's in same thing with PlayStation. If you owned a PlayStation, you're always so the same community.
How you grew up.
It's the same community. Now, I want to talk about now this shift that we're starting to see here. This shift that we're starting to see from the leadership, different focuses on each gaming platform, kind of briefly going over that, what we're explaining with this shift in the games community, the console wars. And I want to talk about first Jim Ryan, since, you know, both of you are more PlayStation. I like my PlayStation. I love Spider-Man. I love Ghost of Tsushima, of course.
But you don't use it as much.
I don't use it
still
as
need to
much.
play Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, it's
someday.
so good.
I saw screenshots and
It's
it's
beautiful.
so pretty, and I'm following this one Twitter account that posts video game screenshots,
yeah.
but like not just screenshots, but like actually constructed photos in the video games. And whenever I see a Ghost of Tsushima set, wow,
It's so good.
just from the style and prettiness alone, I need to play it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, you might be in luck if you are going to be a fan of Ghost of Tsushima. I want to talk about Jim Ryan for a second, who says that he's really only focused on the big blockbusters. Now, Ghost of Tsushima was the fastest selling PlayStation IP in the PlayStation 4's history. Fastest selling.
Yeah.
It's got a movie. It's got a movie coming out with John Wick. So John Wick director.
John Wick.
Yeah, John Wick's director is making the Ghost of Tsushima movie.
Oh.
Yeah, not John Wick himself. Yeah, not.
That'd be fun.
Because I saw a tweet mentioning like while you're all discussing who should play the role of the samurai.
Oh yeah, Jin Sakai. Yeah.
Why don't you take his face model?
Yeah. In fact, the voice actor who plays Jin Sakai, he could definitely play Jin Sakai. Like for sure he could. But I want to talk about Jim Ryan for a second because I think that has a likelihood of getting a second game because he's focusing on big blockbuster games that sell well. That's why he's remaking The Last of Us. I don't know why, but
Which I don't understand either.
I don't get that. He only wants $1 million sellers. He doesn't really want to focus on older games. He's not really concerned about retro. But in a business mindset, he is a business guy.
Yeah.
So, as PlayStation people here, what do you think about this? Do you think this is a good call by Jim Ryan? Especially Nikki, what do you think about Jim Ryan's calls on these?
As someone who has enjoyed Days Gone a lot, and the ending definitely led up to a second game, I'm upset that they canceled it. Maybe there's hope. I saw something about petitions, but what do they actually all ever do?
Yeah.
And I'm a little upset about that because Days Gone is such an amazing game, and I don't see sense in remaking something that's already playable. Like, if you would just go now after this episode and put in your The Last of Us remaster, or if you turn on your PS3, you could just play the first game just fine.
It holds up well.
Of course, The Last of Us 2 had some good improvements in the gameplay that were so much fun that it would feel weird to not have those options in the first game. So, yes, maybe if the remake is going into that direction, especially with the really great photorealism that we had in The Last of Us 2, like, sure,
but
people would buy it. I bought Skyrim several times.
Right. But they never remade Skyrim. They only remastered it.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the crazy part. Yeah.
I would be curious about that, to see it, like what Nintendo did with A Link to the Past.
Yeah. Oh no, Link's Awakening.
It was
Link's Awakening.
Yes. Like they completely remade that. Like I never played it. The paths and storyline were probably still the same, but it looked like a whole new game. And if they managed to do that to The Last of Us without taking away from the amazing story it told, it could work. But I'm still upset that they're throwing away
I
all those
know.
opportunities of those great games out there that are just not as big. Especially,
'Cause it's
I think it's gonna take away a spot that could be for indie games, which are always very, very great. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's bad indie games out there, but I've never played a bad indie game, so
yeah.
convince me otherwise.
And that's the
And-
thing. Yeah. They don't want to focus on
also
that.
and also with the PlayStation 3 store and Vita and some other store close to the
Yeah.
online store. It's really complicated because they just released the next gen console as a digital only, and what happens 10, 15 years? How old is the PlayStation 3? What happens as many years in the future as the PlayStation 3 is old now from the PlayStation 5's lifespan?
Yeah.
Like, will they close down the PlayStation 5 stores too one day? And what happens to those consoles? Because they are digital only. You can't just push a disc into a digital console.
That is true that they're focusing on that. And it's just like, they don't care about retro. They're just gonna make their things. And it's a shame what Jim Ryan is doing, but I feel like PlayStation fans don't really mind though, because they want the PlayStation IPs, such as Days Gone. They want a Last of Us remake, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, think of it this way. Think of it this way: the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 was a remaster. That wasn't a remake. A lot of people think it was a remake, but they used the same source code as the original games. So technically speaking, that was a remaster. When we're talking about a remake, ground up,
starting from scratch.
There's no source code. There's no character models. Everything will be completely remade. So that's a lot of assets that you're using here. But I think people are just kind of like, they just want new things. I think Jim Ryan is looking at bigger blockbuster titles. Liz, what are your thoughts on this?
So when you said that, I just want to say, what is my biggest complaint about the movie industry, or one of my biggest complaints?
Okay.
Is that they just follow the money. They will put out 2, 3, 4 versions of the same movie.
Yes.
Just because they're like, that first one sold a lot.
Exactly.
We can keep making that. And that's how we ended up with like 5 Shreks and 3 or 4 Pitch Perfect.
Hey, don't shit on Shrek.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying that like that's how we ended up with like all these. And, like they like suck it till it's dry.
Yeah.
And that's what it sounds like he's doing. And I understand, business wise, good idea. People will just keep buying it. You're right.
Exactly.
But it drives me crazy because like, give me something new. Give me something original. I'd rather have new games that are really strong and heavy hitting than continuously following the same storyline for the rest of my life. It's
true.
I don't, because it starts to get tiring. Like, it's like, oh, cool, second movie, yay.
Yeah.
And same thing with the game. It's like, oh, yes, I get to follow their storyline. Awesome. But then when you get to like 3 or 4, it's like, all right, how long are you going to do this? When am I going to get something new? So it's kind of worrisome that this is the route he wants to take. Because if you look at the movie industry, like I said, that's what they've been doing. And it's really hard to find a really decent original movie now.
Yeah.
So I don't want that to happen to video games, especially PlayStation games, because they do have awesome stories. And I don't want that to happen. So that it worries me that that's his plan.
Yeah, it's worrisome, but at the same time, it's another focus. I would say, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, I would say that if you're really into the big, like, grandeur games, PlayStation is going to be your place. If you don't really care about indies where people don't really care. And
But I care.
it sucks, but like some people are just like, I would rather a big blockbuster game. Now, I want to jump ahead. Instead of talking about Xbox right now, I want to jump ahead to Nintendo because of the point you just make that you wish there were more original IPs, right? And I want to jump ahead to what Nintendo is focusing on now. Now, Nintendo's CEO actually came out in an article. He actually came out in an interview to say that, you know what? In the future of Nintendo, we're focusing on new hardware, but we're also focusing on original IPs. They feel like they haven't been putting out the original IPs, new ones or old ones. That hasn't been really the focus on the Switch. And I agree and disagree at the same time. I think they did a good job with the Switch with original IPs, but yeah, let's discuss that for a little bit. Nikki, what are your thoughts with Nintendo? Does it really need to compete with Xbox and PlayStation in terms of IPs? Do you think that fans are bored because they haven't gotten any new IPs? So, like, what are your thoughts on this?
No, absolutely not. They don't need to compete at all. I think you had that in a few episodes past when you talked about, especially about Nintendo.
Yeah.
And they don't need to compete. Most Xbox players and most PlayStation players own both.
Yeah.
Their favorite system and a Nintendo.
Yeah.
A Nintendo. I sound like a boomer. It's a Nintendo.
Oh, Nintendo. Yeah, true.
And they really don't need to compete. Sure, some of their decisions are questionable, like putting out a Skyward Sword remaster instead of like some cool package like they did with Mario. For example, please give me Wind Waker and Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time in one neat little package. You can call it Zelda 35 too.
Yeah, exactly. And they haven't even made any announcements. And I think, well, isn't this whole month supposed to be the 35th anniversary of Zelda? And they haven't really done anything. And it's, I remember Arlo talking about it a little bit. It's a pretty big IP, you know, under Mario and Pokemon, but Zelda is still massive, and they're making these questionable calls, including that 35th anniversary where they just sold the 3 games for just a few months, and then they took it away.
That was so bad.
But people will eat it up. I mean, I bits. I got it. I got the 3 games. I'm not gonna lie.
I didn't, because I was waiting for a better time to spend money, because hey, we are all adults.
Exactly. No, I got mine a couple weeks ago.
And we gotta make decisions.
Exactly. No, I got mine a couple of weeks ago used at my local retro gaming store. So
that's cool.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I got it used because most of the money will go to my local retro shop instead of directly to the pockets of Nintendo. So, like any other
support your local businesses.
Like, really, that's a way to, especially retro game shops, man.
Oh yeah,
keep them going. Yeah, like, what are your thoughts on Nintendo too? Like, do you think that they've been dropping the ball on original IPs, or do you think they've been doing a good job in the Switch's life cycle?
I think like they have like some stuff that really works with the Switch's mechanics, like all those extras, like the Ring Fit and whatever that weird paper thing was. Sure, it's just a toy for kids.
Yeah,
like overpriced paper.
Yeah. Oh, what was it? I can't remember what it was called now.
Labo something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was like Labo.
Nintendo Labo. That's right.
And some of the stuff I saw in the ad for that was pretty cute, of course. Like, my favorite thing in all games is when they have a fishing mechanic. No, I would never touch a real fishing game because I think those are way too complicated.
Oh, yeah.
But fishing mechanics are my favorite in games, and having a mini game that actually has you do the whole motions seems cool. Like the fishing mini game in in Zelda had that. I think both in Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword they used the controllers very well with the fishing mechanic, and that was cool. And especially if you don't use a Switch Lite like we do.
Oh yeah. Right.
I think it's a really cool thing to have both the option to play it on the big screen, or just go and sit down on a couch. Maybe if someone you're living with is watching TV and you can just like unhook the Switch from its stand and sit down next to them, and you're still spending time with each other, even though you're doing different things. But hey, that's quality time too.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we got the Switch Lite, because you usually watch the TV. I'll play Switch. But yeah, Liz, like, what are your thoughts though, like on the Switch's life cycle so far? Do you think they've been dropping the ball in terms of games to put on it?
I don't think. Yeah, I mean, you don't hear about too many like new games for Switch or anything. Like they're occasional, but they're not like heavy hitters. Not ones.
They're mostly
like,
indies.
oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, like their biggest one was Animal Crossing.
Oh yeah.
Like
especially
that was a
2020.
huge
Yeah.
one.
Especially with.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Especially
You know
with
what's
With
happening
everything.
and everyone being home.
Yeah.
Animal Crossing was the game to come out at the perfect point.
Oh yeah.
I personally haven't played it yet. I'm not the biggest fan of Animal Crossing. I know it's a fan favorite everywhere. It was cute playing it on a DS back. No, on the 3DS, I think. I had New Leaf was
3DS. Yeah.
And it was fun, but it's not really the game that vibes with me.
Yeah.
I know Stardew is kind of similar, but it gives me more.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, for everyone who enjoyed Animal Crossing on the Switch, I'm so happy for them, because it's such a cute game, and in this time we need cuteness. And yes.
Yeah. But yeah, they don't really put out. But I don't know if I would consider dropping the ball. We've always said that like Nintendo knows what it's doing. You're not this far into the game of like the gaming industry. Like they don't get as far as they have without knowing what they're doing.
Exactly.
So I don't really worry about them. So
are they the oldest player in this whole
I believe so.
triangle? I think Nintendo is
in terms
the
of
oldest
consoles,
of them, right?
In terms of consoles, yeah, because Atari tried to get back into it with the VCS, and that is Sega is only making software now, and rumors are that Xbox is pursuing them, but we don't even know. But they're not in console wars. But Nintendo is the oldest player in terms of 1984, I want to say, but I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, like you said, and we talked about that in our gaming news, that Epic Games spent all this time in the gaming industry and people doubt them, but guess what? They have experience.
Yeah.
Same thing with Nintendo. I don't think that they're dropping the ball in terms of IPs.
Whatever they're doing, it's on purpose.
Yeah. I will say that maybe because I'm not the biggest Nintendo fan, you know, I'm pretty satisfied with my Switch.
Yeah.
I think neither of us are, but like we still like Nintendo.
Oh yeah.
Just because we're not like huge fans. Like there are huge fans out there, of course. Like basically all they play is Nintendo original stuff or similar things. But we still like it, but we're just not huge fans like we are for Xbox or PlayStation.
And yeah, I mean, I want to move on to Xbox now, but before we get into that, I actually want to jump into our middling section here. It's called Social Media Answers. Yay!
With the best community!
We actually got most of our answers from Discord.
Yeah.
And one from Mike Fury.
I'm there!
Yeah. You know, she usually does social media answers, but she's right here. So,
did I run off with a cute alien lady?
what?
I didn't answer. Something must have happened.
What the?
She's saying she didn't answer social media.
Oh. It's also still a little bit the morning, so I'm just like, I'm a little bit
What's
tired.
happening?
Oh.
But yeah, so you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and even join the Discord, which we got most of our answers from. Mike Fury answered on Instagram. He's on the Discord. I don't know why, but
That's where he saw it first.
I guess so, yeah. But you can follow us on all the social medias and answer us there, or join our Discord. So I asked you on social media, what sorts of changes do you see in the console wars? And I want to go into Mike Fury's answers first on Instagram, who says, Easy, this might be over for Sony. They just nuked half their catalog. I think what he's talking about is that Sony is just only focusing on the big IPs like God of War, Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, probably Horizon Zero Dawn. They're focusing on their big hitters, and they're kind of forgetting even just the middling ground of Days Gone, which was probably like an 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, and they're just like, if it's under 8, nope, forget it. What do we think about that?
9.5 out of 10 in my heart.
Yeah, really. Like, it's so subjective that some people will say it's 7 or 8, but who's to say? Some people loved it, and it actually was profitable.
So underrated.
What do we think about Mike Furie's answer that Sony just nuked half of their catalog? Nikki, what do you think?
Yeah, he's totally right, especially with the PlayStation 3 store closing down. Like, I still have the thing right there. I can look at it right now and thinking about not being able to look. Hey, what are some older games that I could like get into? Maybe something I haven't tried yet, or hey, I've got some leftover money. Why not look at the PlayStation 3 store? Oh no, I can't anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just they've forgotten all about that.
With the stores being closed down, do the games even still work? Or
there's been reports coming out that's saying that the people who have bought the PlayStation 3 versions of their games, digital only, they say that that the patches aren't coming in correctly. So even the games that they've bought digitally are not being patched in the correct way. So it's insane to me that not only did they close down the stores, but they closed down any kind of notice on anything retro. Jim Ryan only wants, here and now kind of games. Yeah. Which, like you said, Nikki, would it be a mistake then to buy a PlayStation 5 digital only? That's a bad investment right there. Yeah. Because their history right now.
And the problem is they did it after everyone's already bought those systems. So you can't even go back and we can because we haven't bought one yet. Yeah. But I mean, we know how much we know it sold a ton.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, all right, so now these people have to worry about if they're going to be able to play the system in a few years.
Yeah.
Yes, I even saw someone on my Twitter feed mentioning how they worry about the thing with the digital stores and that they are seriously considering selling their digital PS5 and looking into getting a physical one.
Exactly. I would agree with that because physical only, we talked about that with Twofer. Definitely buy as much physical as you can. Yeah. For me, I can't find the physical edition of Oxenfree unless it's $150. So
yes, we're not doing that.
Wow.
Yeah, they're reselling it for $150.
We'll just rebuy it on every system.
Yeah. It's so bad. So Volt Supreme has to say, actually sounds pretty good. They're all focusing on different areas, and people have the option to choose what suits them. I'm not up to date with it, so I don't have much of an opinion. And he says, go PC and get a little bit of everything. Yeah. So I agree. And that's the thing. It's like, I agree that the PC has a little bit of everything. But the reason why I play on console is mostly because I want to differentiate like what I'm playing on. I like to differentiate. I work on my computer, but I game on my Xbox, my Switch. Like there's two systems. It's a different mindset. Some people, it doesn't matter. A lot of people, it doesn't matter. But but what do you think about his answer that like they're all focusing on different things, so people have the option to go whichever route they want? Nikki, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, pick whatever you want. Adam, you're gonna like what I'm going to say now. Yeah. I think, but no, wait, I'm sparing that for the Xbox topic.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, like I agree. Like, play whatever you want to play. Choose whatever system you want to choose. There is plenty of games that come out on every console out there. Well, probably not on your fridge. That's just Skyrim.
Right. I mean, Xbox is making a fridge, so They actually made
Wow.
they made their own mini fridge of the Xbox Series X.
Achievement unlocked.
Yeah.
You ate 10 tons of milk this day.
Yeah, they're actually giving out a sweepstakes now to win an Xbox Series X mini fridge.
Where could we put a mini
Wow.
fridge though?
I don't know, but I want it. But
Not in the recording room. Those are loud.
yeah, that's
No.
true. Yeah, it's too much of an electric
we'll
bill.
get the mini fridge and then we'll just stock it full of buys.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it'll be our buy
Oh.
Yes.
Ah, that would be nice. So I'll go ahead and enter that sweepstakes. But anyways, yeah. So I do enjoy that everybody's focusing on something different. That's not just the IPs, but it's a different focus. For me, I love my retro games, but I also love new IPs. But I've also always grown up Xbox. So for me, it's not really that much of a change. I do like Nintendo, where it's like it's focusing on their IPs, and I like the Switch's console, but everybody's got a different focus instead of just a different IP.
Yeah.
Liz, what are your thoughts on this?
No, I completely agree that in theory, yes, everyone just gets a system that matches that has the most games that they want to play. That's what I did. You know, we got a PlayStation because that had most of the games that I was interested in playing.
Yeah.
But the problem is with the reason there's a console wars is because the communities decide that they need to tell each other that their system is better.
Yes.
And it's not that.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. Like,
It's
people
just
are
different.
buying the system that matches them, or they're playing the system that they've been playing their whole life. And now they feel the need to fight of who's better. Like, that's the problem. It's not even the consoles.
Yeah.
It's the people who play them.
Yes. Where did he say? Yeah. So I actually want to jump into Twofer's answer because that kind of yeah, and he actually had a really good point here, talking about who's better, who's not, blah blah blah, and he actually just says, Twofer says, war never changes. For real though, the Fallout 3 reference. For real though,
I think every Fallout.
Oh yeah, like Ron Perlman says that every Fallout. For real though, console fanboys and girls are cringe. That can be said with sports teams and politics as well.
Oh yeah.
I say enjoy everything gaming has to offer and have an open mind. And I totally agree with that, especially with the sports aspect, because I like to cheer for different teams. I'm an Eagles fan, but I'm also a Packers fan. When we go out to North Dakota, maybe I'll cheer for Vikings, or maybe I'll cheer for Twins. At the end of the day, it's just uniforms that people are wearing.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually matter, but people will just go out of their way to show like loyalty, support. I'm like, bro, it's clothes and they're located in your city. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Same thing with games, gaming. It's just like, oh, Xbox, it's the best one because reasons. I'm like, listen, my guy, it doesn't matter in the end.
Yeah.
Nikki, what are your thoughts on Twofer's answer? That can be said about sports teams and even politics as well.
Yes, 100% agree. Like, over here in Germany, we have like two really rivaling soccer teams, and they are like always like, there's always trouble when they have a game, and you need like 10,000 of police people to handle the fans, because there are a lot of extremists in the ranks of the fans, and the city in whichever they are having a match is literally on fire. No, not literally, but
sometimes literally.
Yes.
Literally when it comes to the evil.
It's a lot, and it's just as intense as you see PlayStation and Xbox fans arguing. It would be funny if the representing colors of both sides were just like Xbox and PlayStation, but the other team would have to be wearing green, the other is blue, but it's just crazy, and I really don't understand. Sure, it's like all a little, if it's in a little fun and friendly teasing way, like ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Adam, you're wrong.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Me and Liz are right. Look, we're both wearing red. We're the PlayStation people.
Isn't that Nintendo though? Red.
Yes.
It doesn't matter.
that-
We're matching.
Oh. Wait.
Yes.
Oh, I'm not wearing any red.
Actually, you're wearing blue.
I am wearing blue. Oh dear.
But yeah, like that's what you and I do. We don't like war. We don't butt heads about which system's better. You didn't say no. We're not getting a PlayStation.
Yeah.
Like we're just like we must sound like PlayStation's better. La 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 la.
Yeah.
Like things like that. But it's not like this huge thing. It's like no, we have both. We both play both systems.
Yeah.
Just I play PlayStation more and you play the Xbox more.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I think that's fine. And it's fine for someone to have both because there are some things on the Xbox that a PlayStation person might be interested in and vice versa. Like,
yes.
it's just not that big of a deal. It's
Yeah.
just like I say with sports. It's in the end, it's just a game.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
It's men running around getting paid way too much money. That's what it is. And just
way too much.
Way too much.
Yeah. Well,
And
like the argument with
This
that.
topic makes me so angry. The amount of money sports players get paid.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's the argument I
no.
have. Is just like whenever somebody says they get paid too much, but it's the fans' fault. They put in so much money.
They put so much of their life into these games.
Bryce Harper, when he was signed to the Phillies, he made a point because he got a deal of, I think it was $10 million over the next 10 years or something like that.
I do remember
it was like 30 million.
Lot.
But somebody asked him, a reporter asked him, like, well, like, should you be paid this amount? Bryce Harper had great, like, he said, well, the MLB, the Major League Baseball, they get this amount of money. They get like $100 billion. I'm just making up a number here. He's like, so is it not fair that the players who are the reason why people are watching this get a fraction of that?
Yes.
So if the MLB isn't getting that much money, players wouldn't be paid that much. So they get all these billions of dollars. It has to go somewhere. And the same way with the games industry. I think game developers should be. Yeah.
I know where the money could go. There's so many issues in the world that could be resolved with
it could go towards
so much money. You could end world hunger with the numbers that are paid and thrown around in sports. Sorry, this topic is making me angry.
I shouldn't have brought it up because I do this. I get the same way.
Well, that's the thing. It's just like, welcome to like the business world. They'll put out charities, but really it's moving from one pocket to the other pocket.
Yeah.
That's what Facebook did, but I won't get into that.
Yeah. Let's get back to games.
Yeah, we're running out of time, but I have 3 more answers that I want to read briefly because all of you matter. So I want to read Absolute Prodigy first. So Absolute Prodigy says, get rid of the console, get rid of the concept of console war and go into championship or companionship. I said championship. Go into companionship, crossplay. Let us crossplay. That is all. And I agree with that. And going into crossplay, and even One Up Tempo goes into say crying. I see crying, tears, anger, the occasional thrown stiletto, and a pair of star-crossed lovers, Romtendo and Soniette, who enter into a whirlwind of romance despite their families' misgivings and brutal feud, resulting in all the CEOs poisoned in a crypt by the end. But really, just like what Absolute Prodigy and One Up Tempo are saying, is that it's just all battling when it all can be, gaming can bring people together. And I want to briefly just read GameSimp because, like I said, we're running out of time, but I do want to read all these answers. GameSimp has to say, business side, I see a stoic Nintendo and Sony who only speak about new titles and they're ready to talk about them. And when they're ready to talk about them, this especially is true with Nintendo, who has kept its fall releases close to the chest. With Microsoft, I see a company heavily investing in the next 2 to 3 years in some dangerously competitive moves, Game Pass, acquisitions, poaching Sony's partners, etc. So that's the thing, is that it's all about competition. Like the last 3 comments that I read, it's all about this competition. And so the fans get involved and they're just talking about, oh, mine's better, this and that. When really the CEOs are just getting that cheddar.
Yeah, they're just making money off of you making these decisions.
Exactly. It's just like, why do we even really care?
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to read GameSim's question last, or his answer last, because I want to jump into Xbox and then we'll go into closing thoughts here.
Okay.
Now, really talking about this console war here. Well, Nintendo and PlayStation, like he said, are talking about the new IPs, the grandeur, the big finale. Microsoft is making it's not pro gamer. It's just CEOs playing the move, so you think it's pro gamer, okay? But they're putting on the pro gamer moves by making these acquisitions. They're preserving titles for xCloud. They are, like you said, poaching Sony's partners, right? And I want to talk about Xbox before we go into closing thoughts here. Now, we're talking about that. Now, do we feel, though, with terms of acquisitions, do we think that Phil Spencer and the team at Xbox is taking over too many game industry titles? Do you think he's taking over too many companies where it's almost just like play on our system or don't play him at all? Do we think that's a good thing? Do we think it's a bad thing? Nikki, what are your thoughts? Because I got my opinions. He's doing the right thing. But Nikki, what do you what do you think?
Yes, I think, and that's the thing I said in the beginning, that's making me a little bit scared because with the acquisition of Bethesda, I enjoy Wolfenstein, Fallout, Elder Scrolls. I'm blanking on something that's also to do with Bethesda.
Oh,
that
Evil
I
Within.
Also like.
There's a good amount.
Yeah.
Doom. Yeah.
And there's like the handful of games that are so heavily tied to Bethesda, and one day they're gonna be exclusives, and I don't want that. But when that day comes, maybe I'm gonna be getting a Xbox as a second system.
Yeah.
Especially with the things that Game Pass does. Because I want to keep playing the Elder Scrolls. I love it. And also I love Wolfenstein. And Fallout is such an amazing universe. I want to stay there. So
yeah,
that's like the only option, and that's stuff you see in sports too. Teams buying players just to bench them.
Yes.
So just the other team can't use them.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. That happens a lot in sports, and this happens a lot in Xbox. I of course am always Xbox, but when they bought Bethesda, it's good for me because I'm already there.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of PlayStation players that love Bethesda titles, and that's the thing. They purchased them, and I think it works because Xbox has always had a relationship with Bethesda. But like you said, it's just like, are they buying up too much where we're just keeping them out? Because there's also rumors that Sega is going to be bought out. There were rumors that Square Enix, which Square Enix really flatlined and said, we are not for sale.
Yeah.
It was great. No, it was so cool. We talked about it on the next... No. Square Enix actually came out to say, and we talked about it on the next Strange Cast, me and Adnan, where Square Enix said that, like, listen, I don't know where they got these rumors from. Nobody here at Square Enix said anything about that. We're not for sale. We've never gotten any offers. Stop making up these rumors. And their stock went up 14%.
That's hilarious.
So,
Wow.
Yeah. So Square Enix they're going to be their own thing for a long time. So Xbox is not acquiring Square Enix.
Yeah.
But Liz, what do you think? Do you think Xbox...
Don't touch my Just Cause.
Yeah, Just Cause, Life is Strange was on the line. Life is Strange would have been exclusive. Final Fantasy. There's a lot of Square Enix titles where it would have been. But Liz, what do you think? Do you think Xbox buying out all these companies is a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? Do you think it's selfish? Do you think it's the right thing? What do you think?
So here comes my gray area.
Oh, gray area.
Coming out. I think it can go either way because right now, yes, the CEO is very much into the gaming community, wants to make sure everyone can play games. And we don't think that he will make these bigger titles exclusive to Xbox. But he might not always be the CEO. One day, someone else will be CEO.
Yes.
And they might have a different idea, a different agenda. And
just like what Jim Ryan's doing after Sean Layden.
Exactly. So someone could come in and say, no, we own these. I want people to buy more Xboxes or whatever they're on at that point.
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah.
But like, I want more people to buy our systems, so I'm gonna take them all away, and they're gonna be exclusive. And that's the problem, is that they are holding too much power at this point. Like, yes, it's good because they're gonna make sure that right now we believe they're gonna make sure that everyone has access to these games. But they could change their mind.
Yeah.
They could get a new CEO who wants to go in the opposite direction. They just have a lot of power that can be messed with. It's like basically one of those situations where like you have a great power. Are you going to use it for good or evil?
Really,
kind of
yeah.
like PlayStation does. They have all these great games and they don't want to share them.
Except the
And they
PC
don't.
sometimes.
Occasionally. But that's
Yeah.
the thing. Like, Xbox is kind of getting to that level where they're going to be holding a lot of power, and it's going to be that like teeter. It's like, well, I can get PlayStation. I can still play these games, but do I want to risk one day not being able to?
True.
So it's like that weird situation where it can go either way. So I guess I would say that I do think they're buying up too much because they're holding too much power at this point.
Yeah. I would agree.
Great for Xbox. Great for them. Like,
Oh, yeah.
that's going to be great for them.
Good for you.
Yeah.
But as someone who doesn't prefer that system simply because I have tiny hands.
Yeah.
Tiny hands club.
Yes.
Right?
They're just too
Too much.
too much. But yeah, so I guess I would say that it's a little scary having them own that many
Yeah.
IPs.
I do agree, and this is coming again from somebody who does prefer Xbox over all the systems. I don't like how they're buying this many because of your worry. Someday the crowd can change. The console war can go into their favor because they know how loyal these people are and how loyal they are to the systems. They could just shift the power and just say, you know what, everything's just an exclusive to Xbox.
Yeah, so now you're gonna have to buy an Xbox.
And I don't like that, especially when Xbox published Tell Me Why, and that was exclusive to the Xbox. I don't like how that was.
That's
because,
an important game to have on everything. That still bothers me.
Yeah, it's such an important game. And it was, I think, it made history by having the very first transgender protagonist. Like yeah. Like it made history and only on the Xbox. And I'm like, that's not.
And that shows that selfish side that they could do that. They have the potential to do that to these these companies they've acquired.
And that's the thing. I know that they published it and I know they had the right to make it exclusive, but it was just like, that's such an important game.
An important game shouldn't be kept behind console doors.
Yeah. It was so dumb. But I do like what Phil Spencer is doing with preserving these games. I do like that he's opening up the option to put Game Pass on Switch and PlayStation.
Yeah.
I do like that he is trying to release these games for more people to play. But at the same time, the other people have to go into line with this.
Yeah.
I think we're at the time for closing thoughts here. So me and Liz will share our closing thoughts, and CommanderNici will have the last words here. So let me jump into what I think first. In terms of, is there a shift in the console wars? And in my opinion, the console wars should never be our main focus as gamers.
Yeah.
I don't think that we should be subscribing to the idea that my console's better, your console sucks, my console has all these IPs, yours doesn't, blah, blah, blah. In terms of scoreboard right now, Microsoft is buying a lot.
Yeah.
So I could do Game Pass is a big scoreboard for me.
Look at all those companies I own.
Like really, like all these companies, if they bought BioWare, like that would be massive. I mean, they already have, I mean, there's heavy rumors because EA Play is a thing on Game Pass. BioWare could be next because they're losing funding. But in the same time, I think everybody should play on what they want to play. Everybody should be, have the freedom to, and I know I'm talking like an American here. It's like, have the freedom to play on your console that you prefer. But in terms of, is there a shift happening? I think so, but only because there's new CEOs, there's new focuses, there's new business transactions, and I think we should be aware of that before we start to subscribe to the idea of a console war. Liz, what are your thoughts?
It's so funny because the things you point out that people fight over, like when they're debating Xbox or PlayStation, it's like, oh, well, we have all these companies and IPs and all this stuff. It's like, you're literally fighting their business model.
Yeah, really.
Like, just play the games that you enjoy playing. Be like, you like video games? I like video games. And even if you differ on the video games you like, it's like, okay, cool, whatever, no big deal.
Yeah.
When you're fighting about consoles, you're literally using examples of their business model. You are fighting their business and marketing fight.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It's ridiculous. So that's my opinion.
Yeah.
You're all ridiculous. But but no, it's just like it just play the games you like to play. Yes, I agree that Xbox is definitely making that shift because they are buying all those new companies and IPs, and they're doing great. And I completely agree that they are definitely shifting themselves ahead. Mm-hmm. But that's what I mean. We don't need to involve ourselves in their marketing fight.
Yeah.
Like, just buy the system that has the most games that you like to play, or buy both.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Just play the games that you like to play.
That's it.
That's it. Nintendo isn't even part of it. They just do whatever they want, and it works for them.
True.
But so that's my opinion.
Nikki, what are your closing thoughts?
Yes, I totally agree. Like, everyone should play whatever they want to play. Hey, if Xbox goes the direction of making everything they bought exclusives, hey, save up, get a second system, let it be Xbox. Maybe with Game Pass possibly hitting Nintendo and PlayStation, maybe get a subscription to that. Many games come out day one on there, as far as I know. Am I right? Do they?
What's that?
On Game Pass.
Yeah.
Games coming out day one.
Yeah. Well, so
okay,
definitely
some of them.
Yeah, I thought you meant like, is it coming out on the Nintendo Switch? I'm like, what? Is that a news now? But yeah, they're coming out day one. Depends on the deal. Xbox titles, like Xbox exclusives, like Halo Infinite day one. But then they can also have Outriders. Outriders was day one, which where the rumors came in, like, oh, they have a deal with the Square Enix, but Square Enix is like, no.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they come out day one on Game Pass.
Yeah, and with that possibility of Game Pass maybe hitting PlayStation and Nintendo, like, Game Pass is perfect for that, and gamers everywhere could be playing that on their favorite systems, and that would be like the perfect solution. And crossplay, yes, give us crossplay, please. Why is there such a huge problem of getting crossplay everywhere? Like, I think Among Us has crossplay over every system that
I think so.
It's playable on, right?
I think
so.
I heard in the stream that I watched that someone was playing on Switch and others were playing on PC and some on the phone, and like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But I think it's just the simplicity of Among Us that makes it possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, console wars are kind of stupid. Like, play what you want to play.
Yeah. It is what it is, you know?
Yeah.
Like what you want to like. Hey, Xbox doesn't have Detroit Become Human or Heavy Rain. So there's that. There's no Uncharted on Xbox.
Nope. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, get the station that you want to play on. That's pretty much it. But I think we can close out the show from there. But before we go, send our final thoughts away, we got to roll out for CommanderNici. Hooray! CommanderNici, you are on different platforms, but where can we find you? Where's your content found? Anywhere we can find you, go.
Anywhere you can find me. So I'm CommanderNici, basically everywhere. I have an Instagram that I'm pretty active on, Twitter too, also very active. If you enjoy podcasts like I do, definitely follow me on Twitter. I'll be screaming about every podcast everywhere. that I enjoy. I do live tweets to the What's the Biz episodes.
Yep, she
so
does.
check those out, especially with the episode. Maybe read along to my live tweet. I have a YouTube channel also under the name CommanderNici. I scream about video games and every crazy thought that comes to my mind. So yeah, that's about it. CommanderNici almost everywhere. Find me, follow me, say hi. I'll be happy.
And she's in the Discord.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. In the Discord.
She's in the Discord.
I'm in the Discord. Also, CommanderNici.
You can find her anywhere. I will have all the links to those in the description down below. Definitely check out our YouTube channel. It's in the description down below. Whether you're listening on audio or video, it's in the description. But with all that said and done, we thank you again for listening to this week's Games Groceries podcast. We hope you have a good one, a safe one. But remember, you can follow us on the social medias at Gaming Groceries on Twitter, Games Groceries, all one word, on Instagram. Don't forget to subscribe to our secondary channel, eVaults. There's a video that's been filmed, so definitely check that one out. And with all that said and done, we hope you have a safe week. Keep on gaming and keep on striving. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.